and welcome back to the latest episode of An American in Thailand. We air this program every Friday, and we broadcast it to you from Ratchamakan University of Technology, Peranakan. This program comes in two parts. For the first part, we will introduce a certain topic about being an American here living in Thailand. We might talk about food, or travel, or culture. We'll then take a break, and in the second part of the program, we'll just get into more examples, more details, and more specifics. My name is Gary Gray, and I am your host for the An American in Thailand program. I am an American, of course, and I am an English teacher here at Ratchamakan University of Technology, Peranakan. I have been teaching here for a little bit over 8 years, and I've been hosting some of these radio programs for a couple of years now. This program is fairly new, but I also host a musical program on Wednesdays at 1 p.m., and that program has been going on for over 2 years now. So we've been doing this a while. And for this program, as I said, I talk about my experiences here in Thailand. We are going to change that a little bit this week. Just a little bit. We are still going to talk about Thailand, since it is one of the places I have been in Asia, obviously, since I live here. But we're going to talk about more of Asia than just Thailand. Thailand will be included, but we will talk about the rest of Eastern Asia as well. So I have done a lot of travel throughout Eastern Asia. And I thought it would be interesting for our listeners to hear my review of some of these other countries from an American perspective, because I think some of you might actually have a different experience for various different reasons in these different countries. So I want to give you my perspective of the countries I have visited. Like I said, I've traveled a lot. And as I also just mentioned before, it's not irrelevant to Thailand, because we will talk about Thailand as well. Because you will understand, after we talk about all of this, why I decided to move to Thailand, why this was my choice. As I said, I have traveled throughout much of Eastern Asia. Why am I here? Why didn't I go someplace else? Why did I come to Thailand? So, what you'll find out is that Thailand is one of my favorite places that I have been to in East Asia. Is it my favorite place? We'll see. We're going to do something a little bit fun. We are going to rank the places that I have been to. And then in the second half of our program, I'll give you a little bit more information about why I like some of them, why I don't like some of them. Obviously, Thailand is going to be high on my list. That's why I'm here. Because I like Thailand. I like the people. I like the culture. But is it all the way up at number 1? Maybe there's some other reason I moved here, and maybe it's number 2 or 3 or 4. We'll see. We'll see where I ranked it. Okay, so before we go through our rankings of the East Asian countries, we have to do two things here. First of all, what do we even mean by East Asia? What's East Asia? So we're talking about places that are to the east of India and all of the stans, like Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, all of those countries that end with stan, Afghanistan, all of those stan countries. So east of them. So it does not include them. It also does not include India. India is not considered part of East Asia. A lot of times they'll call it the subcontinent, which I think is a little bit weird. It's not the furthest south place in Asia. It is quite far south. It can get quite hot, but it's not the furthest south. Sub means like under. So under the continent. I understand that it is kind of at the bottom and goes down some. But so does Thailand and Malaysia, really, with the Thai Peninsula, the Malaysian Peninsula actually, but Thailand's part of it. The Malaysian Peninsula goes pretty far south. Saudi Arabia goes pretty far south. That's part of West Asia. So I don't know why they call it the subcontinent, but that's what they call it. So it is not part of East Asia. So we're talking about every place east of there, with a couple of exceptions. We're going to make a couple of exceptions here, just because of what we think about when we think of East Asia. Most people in East Asia have the same background. Well, when I say the same background, I mean going back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Obviously, the Japanese people are not the same as the Thai people. The Thai people are not the same as the Indonesian people. They're not the same as the Chinese people. So, I'm talking about back tens of thousands of years. Like people who look, by their appearance, they look ethnically what we think of as being Asian. Now, Western Asian is more kind of the olive skin, features that look a little bit more like a white person, except maybe just a little bit darker. That's kind of Western Asian look. So we're talking about people that quote-unquote look Asian. I don't like to word it that way. That almost sounds racist to talk about it that way. But I think you know what I mean. That's sort of similar type of culture that exists throughout Eastern Asia. I think the culture in East Asia is quite different from the culture, say, in Western Asia. There are some places, maybe because of religion, they may have some cultural similarities with parts of Western Asia, but generally speaking, the cultures are somewhat different. And so because of that, we're going to talk about East Asia as only the people that come from that same background. So, for example, we're going to leave out two countries that are, in fact, east of India and all of the Stan countries. And so the two countries we're going to leave out are Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a little bit more like the Indian culture. It's kind of in between Southeast Asia and India. And it's a little bit more, it's kind of in between. You could argue that that's part of East Asia. That would be fine. We're going to go ahead and leave that out. And of course, as I review these countries, we can only review the ones I've been to. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And I haven't been to Bangladesh anyway, so it's not going to make our list. And the other country that we're going to leave out is Russia. Even though Russia takes up a huge part of northeastern Asia, most of its people live in Europe. So because Russia is one of only a couple of countries that go across continents like that. And because most of its people live in Europe, I think most people think of Russia as being more European. Now, there are some people that live in far eastern Russia who even do have the Asian features. There are some people that do. But generally, Russia's considered more European. And in fact, most of its people live in the western part of the country, which is in Europe. So we're not going to include them. We also could include a couple of those Stan countries. Like, for example, I think Kazakhstan is mostly people of ethnic Asian origin. Again, I can't really be certain of that because I forget which countries it is. A couple of those Stan countries, like it could be Uzbekistan, might be one of them as well. But we're going to leave those out because those are considered Central Asia. Also, much like Bangladesh and Russia, I have not been there anyway. So when it comes time to rank them, I can't include them anyway. So it doesn't really matter because I can't talk about them. So the countries that are in East Asia, for our purposes, that we're considering East Asia, are going to be Mongolia, China, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan. I am going to consider Taiwan a separate country. I know the Chinese people don't view it as separate, but it is like recognized in the UN as its own country, I believe. I'm pretty sure it is. So I'm going to talk about Taiwan separately. Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, and the Philippines. So I believe that is 18 countries, I believe 18 countries there. And it may surprise you, but I did tell you I've traveled a lot. I've traveled to 12 of these countries. And actually, there's a couple I want to go to that I still haven't been to, so more than a couple. So I'd like to go to most of them, but I've traveled to 12 of these countries. So it might be kind of obvious which ones I have not been to. For example, North Korea. That's a little tough to go to. No, have not been there. So the ones I have been to are China, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Singapore, sort of, very short time there, Indonesia, and the Philippines. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to rank them, okay? And we're not going to talk too much right now about why I'm ranking them. We're going to do that in the second part of our program. So let's just go through the rankings, all right? And we're going to start at the bottom so that it makes it a little suspenseful. And I think it might surprise you which country is at the bottom. And this is one of these countries where I said someone from Thailand, might have a different experience going there than someone from America does. So it might surprise you that this is at the bottom of my list. So number 12. And before we even start the list, a little more suspense. I should point out that I really do love Eastern Asia. So all but the last two on this list I actually do like. So even number 10 sounds like, oh, so low on the list. It's only a list of 12. It came in number 10. Nope. I like that country. I like all these countries except for the bottom two. It's just a matter of how much I like them. From 1 to 10, it's just a matter of how much I like them. 11 and 12, I don't really like. Didn't really enjoy my time there. Okay, so number 12, again, I think this is going to surprise you, is South Korea. You may say, why? Everyone loves South Korea. K-pop and all kinds. It's fun. It's fun. It's kind of a wealthy country, too, so it's modern. It's nice. We will talk about that in the second half of our program, why I rank that so low. Number 11, Singapore. Now, I should give Singapore a little bit of credit here in that I was there only a brief time. My judgment of Singapore could be unfair. They could be better than this. If I had more time to spend there, maybe I rank them higher. Number 10, Taiwan. Number 9, Indonesia. Number 8, Japan. And I should point out that, I should remind you, I do like all of these. I want to mention that right there because Japan, kind of low on the list, number 8. I really loved Japan. Really enjoyed it. So number 8, Japan. Number 7, China. That one, again, might surprise you. You know, America and China don't get along very well. That's mostly the governments. The governments don't get along. I've been to China many times. I have never had any problem with any of the Chinese people. They've been extremely friendly to me. I have no problem with China. Maybe because I'm American, I disagree with their government sometimes too, but the people are fine. So number 7, China. Number 6, Cambodia. Number 5, the Philippines. Number 4, Myanmar. That one might surprise you also, given all the stuff that's going on there. But I was there before all the crazy stuff with their government started happening. So number 4, Myanmar. Number 3, Vietnam. Number 2, Thailand. Oh, no, we didn't get number 1. So what is number 1? Laos. Laos. I really do like Laos. And I will tell you in the second half of our program why I moved to Thailand, even though Laos ranks higher. And by the way, they rank very close. Laos and Thailand, very close. They're my two favorites. Okay, so that's my list. Now let's take a quick break and we'll come back with more of the details. Okay, welcome back everyone. So, we're talking about my travels to East Asian countries, and I just ranked all 12 of the East Asian countries I've been to. And there are only 18 East Asian countries. So I've been to 12 out of 18. What is that? I have to do math on that. 2/3 of them. So almost 70%. That works out to 67%. And there are a few more I would like to go to, so hopefully I can get that up higher than that. But let's quickly, we have a long list, so let's just very quickly talk about why I like some of these countries and why I like some of them more than others. Remember what I said, only the bottom two I kind of don't like. So even number 10 I like. I just didn't like it as much as some of these other countries. So number 12 was South Korea. Why do I not like how can you not like South Korea? Well, it's possible that it's because of the area I was in. I was mostly in and around Seoul. And of course the US does have some military bases there because we help South Korea with their defense. And, most of the people in the military are going to be young men. There are going to be some older people who have served a long time. Of course, there are going to be some women. We have a lot more women serving now than we did maybe 20 or 30 years ago. But it's still mostly young men. Now, when they go into the big city, I don't know, maybe they cause trouble. I don't know. I have no explanation for this. I don't know why. But it is the only place in all of Asia I have ever been to where people were racist toward me for being white. Obviously, that made it not very fun. That is the main reason I don't like South Korea, because they were not friendly to the white person. I am a very nice person. You should be nice to me. No. I mean, not everyone was mean, of course, but it was more than just like one person. I did have one crazy old man get all crazy on me, but it was more than one person. There were quite a few people that just were very rude, and it was clearly because of my race. A couple of them even said that. So, no. South Korea, no, don't like it. Number 11 was Singapore. This is the only other country I don't like. And as I mentioned in the first part of the program, I should be fair here. I was only there very briefly. Didn't see a whole lot more than the airport. Obviously, you can't judge from just inside the airport. I did see a little bit more of it, but barely. I saw I saw very little of Singapore. But what I saw was kind of what I expected because it's such a small country. Other than some parks and stuff, it's basically just one big city. That's it. That's all it is. So, not really a fan. There's for what I like to see and do. For example, I enjoy nature. Like, I really loved it. I really loved going up to Khao Yai here in Thailand. I've been there a couple times. Kanchanaburi, out past where the city is and out into the mountains out there. Been there a couple of times. Really love it out there. The only thing I don't like about being in the outdoors is all the bugs. I don't like the bugs. But, yeah, and that pretty much just doesn't exist in Singapore. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of Singapore. Okay, so starting with number 10, like I said, I actually like all of these countries. So, Just remember that when you look at this and say, well, 10, that's pretty bad. No, I like them all. So number 10 was Taiwan. So why is it so low? I did like it, yes. Met some very friendly people there. Enjoyed myself there, no problem. I just found the people to be maybe a little less friendly. It was quite crowded, at least in the areas that I was. It was crowded. I found the people to be a little less friendly. It's funny. The people are more friendly if they're not used to seeing people like you. Like if you go out to the rural parts of Thailand where they don't see a lot of white people, they're kind of surprised to see me, and they're very happy to see me. So you get a lot of that. And I think because Taiwan is another one of these American allies, they see plenty of white people there. So I'm just some normal person hanging around there. So it's just nothing special. So they don't treat me particularly well, and they didn't treat me bad. It was just okay. It was so it was kind of crowded. The people weren't quite as friendly, but it was fine. Indonesia, now why are they low on this list? Well, okay, a couple of reasons. First of all, some of the areas there are also not very friendly to people like me. Just generally, obviously individual people are going to be perfectly fine. I don't want to stereotype and say like, oh, well, they all are like that. No, in fact, I didn't see that at all there. Nope. But just because of that, most of the tourists, especially the white tourists like me, end up going to Bali and not other parts of the country. In fact, there are some parts of the country where you weren't even allowed. Like the area where they got the tsunami. After the tsunami, they kind of opened up a little bit because they need help. So I think maybe you can go there now. But Banda Aceh, yeah, it was actually forbidden. You couldn't get in there. You show them your passport. Nope. White American. Nope. Can't go there. So a lot of times we just go to Bali. So we are kind of limited in what we can see and do in Indonesia. I also found the beaches there to be a little bit overrated. It's supposed to be really nice, the beaches of Bali. I mean, they weren't bad. It was nice. Like I said, I like all of these. Everyone that's in the top 10 I like. So Indonesia, it's fine. It's a good place to go. I enjoyed it. We had fun playing with the monkeys at the monkey park. I saw them do a couple of funny things. That was up in the hills above Bali. I forget the name of the town there, but that was enjoyable. So Indonesia is nice. Japan. Okay, so Japan could be higher on this list because I really enjoyed it. Japan I actually didn't expect to enjoy. I've heard that the people there are very quiet, reserved, and I'm more kind of interested in friendly people. I'm more of a friendly type of guy. I found the Japanese people to actually be very friendly, very, very helpful, because I occasionally had a question. I wasn't sure where to go. I've only been to Japan once, so it was my first time there. I wasn't sure how to get to certain places. Extremely helpful. Very friendly people. The food was excellent. The only reason they're so low on this list at number 8 is it's just so expensive. It's a very expensive country. So if you want to travel around a lot, it's a little hard to get around as well. I mean, they have trains everywhere, but it's just the geography. It's a long country. So it's a long trip from, if you want to go like down to the south or something like that, and you're up in Tokyo, or it's just, and so if you're only there for a few days, which I was, you can't see much of Japan. It seems like it's a small country, right? Because it's islands, but because it's so long, yeah, it's hard to see. It's hard to get around in. It's expensive, but overall, loved it. I actually did not expect to like it. Absolutely loved it. Japan is a wonderful place. The food I had there was fabulous. It was expensive, but it was fabulous. Number 7 is China. China I have been to many times. I've been all over China. there's really not much bad I can say about it. The only reason it's so low on this list at number 7 is because first of all, I really prefer Southeast Asia just because of the culture. People tend to be a little bit more friendly, and you'll notice that every country above China is in Southeast Asia. So I really love Southeast Asia more. Also, even though the people were very friendly to me, it seemed like they were friendly to me because I was a white person, which is fine. I'll take it. If you're going to be nice to me, be nice to me. Wonderful. But my point is, they weren't always very nice to each other. And I was there right before the Olympics. This was way back. Not even the last one. I think they've hosted the Olympics again since then. This was way back. I was there right before the Olympics. And they actually had to run advertisements, the government did, on telling their people how to behave. For example, a lot of them like to spit. I know maybe it's just part of the culture, but in most countries, people think that's kind of not a very nice habit. So the fact that you have to tell people not to spit all over the place. Also, the air pollution there is quite bad. When I went there right before the Olympics, they had shut off a lot of their power plants for the purposes of making sure the air was clean. And it was beautiful then when I was there. Gorgeous weather. But I have been there like I said, I've been to China many times. I have been there a couple of other times where it was bad, the air pollution. Overall, though, absolutely love it. I've been to many places there. It may surprise people to learn, since there are so many people that live in China, that a lot of the people are clustered into the cities. So there's and China's big geographically, so there's a tremendous amount of countryside, rural areas, forests, national parks. It really is a beautiful country. China, I think, is much more beautiful than people understand, because what do you see when you see pictures of China? It's usually going to be Beijing, or it's going to be some city, because that's where the people are. That's where the people are going to be recording. That's where everyone is. China's so much more than that. Food is also quite good. Sometimes I'm not a big fan of Asian food, and there are certain things they do in Chinese food that I don't always like. One of the things I don't like is when you're having meat, they leave the bones in, even in soup. They do that here in Thailand as well with Tom Yum Gai. Usually they leave the bones in the chicken. So you have to use your hands while you're eating soup. You're not supposed to eat soup with your hands. So we do that here too sometimes. But they do that a lot in China. They'll just take whatever meat it is, just crunch it all up with all the bones in it, cook it, and serve it to you that way. A few things I don't like about that. But overall, China, wonderful. Cambodia. Now, that's going to be probably the lowest one on my list here in Southeast Asia. Well, Indonesia maybe, because that's also Southeast Asia, and they were a little bit lower at number 9. So why is Cambodia not higher? Okay, well, this is really easy, actually, because other than the Philippines, which is going to come in at number 5, all the rest of these are right here in this very small Southeast Asia area, like not down into the Philippines and Indonesia, not the islands. These are all right here. So I really love all of these countries. This is nothing bad about Cambodia coming in last. The reason it comes in last among those countries, the reason it comes in last is simply because you go to the cities and the sanitation and cleanliness is not very good. I mean, it can be in some of the more touristy areas where they try to keep it nice and clean, but I usually try to explore outside of there. I like to see the cities, see the people, see how people live. And Cambodia, I think, is probably the dirtiest of these countries that I've been to. Well, there might be one more, and that's going to be the next one up. Like I said, the Philippines is next, but the next one above that might be just as dirty. So Cambodia, a little bit dirty in some areas, and I'm not really a big fan of that. Like I said, I kind of like nature, and so I like things to be clean. Next on the list, number 5, the Philippines. Love the Filipino people. Love the Filipino food. Beaches are also very nice. I have absolutely nothing to say badly about the Philippines. The only reason they're not even up higher is just because how much I like this Southeast Asian culture. Uh, it's more laid back. The people are maybe not a lot more friendly than the Philippines, because that's why the Philippines is up so high on this list, but maybe a little more friendly. So, but I really have nothing bad to say about the Philippines. I could have even put them higher. So Philippines are wonderful. Number 4 is Myanmar. Again, that's the one I was mentioning when I mentioned Cambodia. They don't get into that top 3 because it's kind of dirty and poor. That's not really their fault, being poor. I mean, that's just the way the country is. That's more the fault of the government. I think they don't need to be poor because they have so much coastline. You know, they could have beaches and beach resorts and make a lot of money that way. It's actually difficult to travel there as a tourist. In some cases, you're only allowed in certain places. Like you can go to Mandalay, you can go to Yangon, you can go to Naypyidaw, and that's about it. So, yeah, it's kind of a shame that the country is so poor. But the people there were extremely friendly. And I think because they don't have a lot of tourists, they were kind of surprised to see me there. And what's funny about that is because they used to be a British colony, usually most countries it's the young people that are trying to learn English. In Myanmar, because they used to be a British colony, it's all the old people that can speak English. So all the old people were yelling at me and saying hi and trying to get my attention. It was quite cute, actually. So yeah, they were just very friendly people. I loved Myanmar. Myanmar was great. Number 3, Vietnam. Beaches in Vietnam. Beautiful. Da Nang is one of my favorite places. The people there are generally very nice. I do have, the reason they come in below Laos and Thailand is I do have a couple of little things. The taxi drivers in Vietnam are just thieves. They should all be in jail. I mean, they're just thieves. I don't think I got a single taxi driver in Vietnam that charged me the right amount. They won't turn their meters on. Here in Thailand, we have taxi drivers that try to cheat you as well, but I won't get in a taxi without the meter running here. You either turn the meter on or you can drive on. I'll get another taxi. But that was one of the things. The other thing was their government is still trying to run propaganda about the Vietnam War, which was 50 years ago. And the U.S. is now pretty much friends with Vietnam. Not like close friends, because they're still communist. America isn't. So it's not like we're close friends. But we are kind of friends. And they're still trying to... They still lie about like how they treated the prisoners of war and things like that. I know because I visited some of the sites. And it just made my eyes roll because it was so ridiculous. So that kind of just bugged me, that they're not even trying to have a good relationship. For example, Laos has a good reason to be mad at the U.S. because of the war. Because it wasn't even their war. And we kind of went in there and did some stuff to try to block the people from Vietnam from trying to get into the south by crossing through Laos and Cambodia. So we kind of did bad things there as our country. And Laos doesn't like hate America or anything. So that's just bothers me about Vietnam. But again, still love it. Still love it. Love the food as well. Of all of these close-in Southeast Asian countries, like if we don't talk about Philippines, where I like the food more, I think Vietnamese food is the food I like the most. Okay, number 2 is Thailand. So why aren't we number 1? Okay, so you already know why I like Thailand. That's why I'm here, right? Culture, the people, all that. Why isn't it number 1? All right, so I've told you in past episodes that I moved here because I like the culture, the people, etc. So I don't want to be around a lot of white people. If I wanted to be around a lot of white people, I would have stayed in America. There's a lot of that in Thailand, especially here in Bangkok or in Chiang Mai or in the tourist areas. In Laos, there's less of that. There's still quite a few tourists in like Vientiane. There's quite a few there. They also have some up in Vientiane, Vang, and there's actually been some problems up there recently because of that. They sell like I don't even know what it is. They sell like some fake liquor, and some people have died drinking. I don't know, some crazy stuff up there. But generally, it's not very touristy. Not a lot of tourists up there, which I like. I also like the food just a little bit better. It's actually very similar to Thai food, but but you get a little bit of French influence. So like Lao bread, which is really just a French baguette. I like Lao bread, so I do like the food slightly more in Laos as well. The people are probably just as friendly, maybe even a little bit more friendly than I've seen in Thailand. But again, I think that's because of the nature of who's living there. Like they're a little more surprised to see white people in Laos, and so they feel like they have to be more friendly and hospitable. So I think that may be the only reason, but whatever the reason is, I do find them to be just a tiny bit more friendly. But the Thai people are very friendly, but maybe just a little bit more in Laos. So that's why Laos wins. And so why did I move here then instead of Laos? Okay, well, it's much easier to get a job here. There are not many places to work in Laos. There are fewer schools, especially universities, which is where I like teaching. All right, so that's about it. So one final note on this. So what about other countries? Where would I like to visit? Mongolia, Nepal, Bhutan, and Malaysia. I have not been there. I would like to. The only two I would not like to go to are North Korea, because I can't. Kind of scared to. And Brunei, because I'm just not interested. And that's it. But again, why I chose Thailand? It is my second favorite place on the list, and just compared to Laos, which is my number one, it was much easier for me to come here, get a job here, and things like that. So that's about it. That's our list. Our 12 countries I've been to in Asia, in East Asia, and Thailand. Sorry, did not win, but you came in number 2. Very good, very good. With Laos number 1, Vietnam number 3. All right, so that's it for our program today. Thank you for joining us for today's An American in Thailand program. And let me reach out to any young people out there who are listening to or viewing this program and ask them to consider our wonderful university here at RMUTP. That's Ratchamakan University of Technology, Peranakan. All right, so please stay with us and tune back in next week for another interesting episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you.